Just have a look at this announcement. We're having a trad session in Mullingar Cathedral. This is great news. We're going to actually have a trad session, a traditional session in Mullingar Cathedral, but not the kind some Catholics were hoping for. Just have a look at this anyway. So we have this news that we're going to have a CÉILÍ in the cathedral this year here in Mullingar. Isn't it a great old time here in Ireland? We'll have the CÉILÍ in the cathedral. Sunday the 7th of August at 7 p.m. Cathedral of Christ the King. All roads lead to the Cathedral of Christ the King in the heart of Mullingar for a night of powerful ceoil and competition as the bands battle it out for ultimate All-Ireland glory. The highly anticipated event promised to be a night of music, competition and crack as bands fight to be crowned All-Ireland champions. The creative energy of every flag expressed itself this thrilling night in an epic competition of collective trad talent that never ceases to excite and invigorate. Trad talent. Remember this. Trad talent. So anyway, this is what we have going on here in the Cathedral of Christ the King in Mullingar. I suppose we have the precedent. The Archbishop of Vienna allowed, twice performance. This performance we all remember. They get up in the sanctuary. They're all naked and half naked and God knows whatever. Get up and shout around. Here they are. The devils were out in force that evening, and Sure, if people are not using these sacred spaces for what they're intended for, sure, we'll use them for something else. We don't need to be leaving them empty on a Sunday evening. You'd wonder who are these friends of cardinals and archbishops and bishops that get to turn these sacred spaces into places of entertainment, profane, secular entertainment. That's what happened in Vienna, in Vienna's cathedral. Well, so what does canon law say? What does the church state? Well, canon 1210, only those things which serve to exercise or promotion of worship, piety or religion are permitted in a sacred space. Anything not consonant with the holiness of the place is forbidden. In individual case, however, the ordinary can permit other uses which are not contrary to the holiness of the place. So, if people want to know what is a fla, what is a CÉILÍ, if those are people who don't know, well, sure, you see it in any bar, you go to many places around Ireland, you'll see the CÉILÍs going on, as a trad session, as we call it. That's what we call traditional music. This is traditional Irish music being allowed in a cathedral, which I find ironic that we can't have traditional Latin Mass, but we'll allow a trad session. Literally, that's what they've called it here. Expresses the collective competition. Trad talent here. Imagine we can have trad talent going on here in the cathedral, but we can't have a traditional Latin Mass. It's come to that. But you couldn't invent this, guys. You really can't. But sure, we have to let the silly season go on in the church. Anyway, such is life. I do find it very interesting that what us Irish call a trad session or traditional setting, traditional Irish music, that the competition of all different traditional Irish bands is being held in a Catholic cathedral, the Cathedral of Christ the King in Mullingar. Was there any other place that this could have been done in Mullingar? I mean, why wouldn't we have a traditional Irish setting in, for example, in Mullingar Hospital? Why wouldn't we use the hospital for a trad session? Oh, no, that's not sure. The hospitals are for serious things. That's where where people go to have serious operations and treatments. No, that's not a fitting place for a trad session. Yes, the Cathedral of Christ the King is. Now, in Canon 1, as I said there in Canon 1210, the ordinary can permit other uses that are not contrary to the holiness of the place. So there has been incidences in the past where the bishop would have used local churches or a cathedral for, if there was a time of crisis, for refugees, for people to sleep in, if there was a natural disaster in a local area. In the past, soldiers have used these places to sleep in during times of war, etc., etc., in extreme circumstances, humanitarian circumstances. A concert, a flash session, a CÉILÍ isn't one of those areas. And how did we arrive to this? I have no idea. I mean, it's very, very interesting. It's very interesting that you could go to a bishop and says, look, can we have a trad session? Can we have a trad competition? Trad Irish music, traditional Irish music competition in your cathedral. Yes, you can. Off you go. Take it over for the Sunday evening. Let's get the stage up there, the lighting in, everything ready for the tradition. Yes, if a Catholic, a priest, a group says, say, on a Sunday, because this is happening Sunday, what Catholic traditional group wouldn't give to have traditional Latin Mass in that cathedral on a Sunday? If any group in Ireland said, look, can we have that cathedral for traditional Irish Mass on a 7 p.m. on a Sunday, say every second Sunday of the month or every first Sunday of the month? Oh, no, we can't have, no, Vatican II, Traditionis Custodes. Oh, no, Cardinal Roche, can't have that now. No, can't be dividing the church. Do you see the hypocrisy of it? Especially here in Ireland, that you would allow traditional Irish music competition in a cathedral, but you wouldn't allow traditional form of worship, Latin, the Mass of the Ages, traditional Latin Mass. I just find it interesting how we've got to this place. We saw it down in Cove. They were using the cathedral for this exposition of the world, the globe, and so forth. And they were saying, oh, thousands of people have come to see this exposition of art. And I suppose, oh, sure, look. You come and see the created, but how many people will come and encounter the Creator in our cathedrals? How many? And I just find it very interesting, because traditional Irish music, traditional Irish dancing, you see they've maintained the dresses, the music, a lot of these songs that haven't changed in decades or hundreds of years. Like, this is very, very old music. But our form of worship has been completely undone over the last 50 years. And we're not allowed to have that same tradition, the tradition of the Mass of the penal times in Ireland. We're not allowed to have that same Mass in the cathedral. But we would have a traditional music. This would never have happened in Ireland 50 years ago. Just simply wouldn't. You wouldn't dream of having a CÉILÍ in a church. Simply wouldn't have happened. The last place you would have a CÉILÍ is in a church. And yet we seem to have come to this moment where you can have a CÉILÍ competition in a church, in a cathedral. That's life. It's crazy times in the church. Crazy times that we'll come down so hard in the Mass of the Ages, and yet we'll permit these sacred spaces and places to be used for anything but what they were intended for. The Cathedral of Christ the King in Mullingar was paid for, designed, built and consecrated for one purpose, and one purpose alone: to offer the sacrifice of the Mass, so that people could give praise and worship to God during the sacrifice of the Mass. That is the only reason that building exists. The same as a hospital is built for only one reason: to heal people. And you don't go in and say, well, look, we're looking for a venue now for a CÉILÍ. Is Mullingar Hospital available? It's not available. We'll use the cathedral instead. If you wouldn't use a hospital for something that it wasn't designed for, why would you use the cathedral for something it wasn't designed for? And it wasn't designed for pop concerts, rock concerts, what they did in Vienna. It simply wasn't. I mean, it's an own goal. We're scratching our heads. Why do people not believe? Why do the young people not believe? Why don't we? How can we engage people more? How can we make ourselves more woke, more relevant? We'll turn the cathedral into a pub. Is in effect what we have done. That's what we're going to do that day. Turn the cathedral into a pub. All you need now is to be passing around pints of Guinness in the cathedral. And I could say in 10 years they'll probably be doing that. The way we're going. We will have a trad session in the cathedral, but we cannot have a traditional Latin Mass on a Sunday if we ask for it. It would be denied. It simply wouldn't happen. You'd be you might be sent off to the sticks to... Do you understand? Think about it, guys. Think about where we're going. Think about what we've done to our places which are supposed to be sacred. Sacred. These are places of sacred that are sacred to many generations. They remain sacred to us. They're not meant for CÉILÍs and traditional Irish music sessions. That's not what they were designed for. You wouldn't have it in a hospital in Mullingar. Why are you having it in the cathedral? But this is the time we live in the church, guys. This is the time we live in, with confusion everywhere we go. And people wonder, why don't we believe? Because we don't have Catholic identity anymore. We don't know what we are as Catholics. We don't know what our worship is. We don't know what our Mass is. As we have to entertain people at Mass, we'll have to entertain them with a CÉILÍ on a Sunday evening. And I'm sure there's people well-intended that have approved this. But does this serve what the mission of the Catholic Church is and what that cathedral is meant for? No, it doesn't. You know, on the one hand, you'll have that trad session, but you won't have... We can have a trad session, but we can't have traditional at the Mass. Anyway, God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.
If then when the doors are shut thou drawest near, only reveal those hands, that side of thine. We know today what wounds are. Have no fear. Show us thy scars. We know the countersign. The other gods were strong, but thou wast weak. They rode, but thou didst stumble to a throne. But to our wounds, only God's wounds can speak.